So thank you folks for joining us on this webinar about digitizing mines. One second while I just get started over here again. Can you folks still see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Awesome,
Yes.
Thank you. So we are a GroundHog. We specialize in digitizing mines, and this is in this webinar. What we'd like to go over is big trends in the industry and how mines are embarking on the digitization roadmap, and also go over some of our product portfolio and our services portfolio as well to help mines digitize. A brief overview about us. Our mission is to see every mine digitized because we strongly believe that a digitally connected miner does more, faster and safer. This also improves overall productivity and safety across the mining industry once we start adopting digital technologies. We work with some of the largest mining companies in the world. Case in point, Nevada Gold Mines, Barrick Gold, Coeur, Martin Marietta, Luost, Epiroc, Heron Connect, Lehigh Hansen, and a bunch of other companies out in North America as well. In North America, we just started expanding into India and into South America. And we are about to start pilots out in Western Australia as well. The big picture is that, there's a big trend towards digitization. When McKinsey surveyed all the big mining companies about that their thoughts on digital transformation and where they were in their digitization journey, this is where they found, this is what they had found. Most of these mines started seriously embarking on their digitization journey somewhere around 2016. There were quite a few companies that had started prior to that as well. And when you see the mix, 40% of companies that responded basically had a ad hoc digitization strategy in place. This is, where they, sometimes have a need. They don't have anything written down in terms of their digitization strategy. About 37% were very opportunistic, where they actually looked at the portfolio of activities that they perform and identified a few gap areas where they could make these investments. When a consultant went and pitched a certain concept, if they liked it, then they pounced on it and started digitizing that part of their operation. And that's why we call that opportunistic. Repeatable is where a company actually has a process in place to identify an opportunity to improve through digital efforts, and then actively go out and seek a product or a service and deploy it repeatably across multiple mine sites within the organization. Managed and optimized are a level higher. Managed is, they've already implemented quite a few technologies and they have reused some of these products and have seen significant gains in their productivity and safety over time. Optimized is, these are like the BHPs and the Rio Tintos of the world that are leading these digitization and automation efforts. And they are typically the model customer that other mines can try to replicate. And over these past few years, there's been a significant amount of research done into what the broad themes are. This is one of the slides published by the World Economic Forum. Most of the digitization initiatives are classified into four broad themes: one around automation, robotics, and operational hardware. The second is mechanisms to digitally enable your workforce so that every miner, every geologist, every safety person, every person that steps onto a mine site uh, can perform their work correctly. They know what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and where to do it, uh, because they always have access to the latest and greatest data. What we also see is, as a big theme, is in mines, most of the data is siloed. Uh, the focus is to uh, become an integrated enterprise where you mix the, you merge the IT and OT sides of the business. OT typically is anything that has to do with operational technology, like sensors, actuators, and those sorts of things, relays, those sorts of things, and IT being uh, any of the IT systems that we use for reporting, finance, ERPs, and so on, and basically try to converge uh, both those data streams. There's also a big push for using next-gen analytics and decision support systems. These next-gen analytics help mines and even frontline supervisors make data-driven decisions to do their jobs faster, safer, better. And then when you see how mines are on their journey, you see that every mine is either part of an early adopter set, an early majority set, or a late majority set, and these are basically how you categorize them in terms of their adoption curves. And the way you read this slide is the early adopters. Uh, when it comes to the theme of a digitally enabled workforce, they already have integrated mobile technology with remote operating centers that provide them real-time information using both a push and a pull mechanism. And then most of these workers typically are digital native. That is, most of them are younger workers. So um, they are all well trained and actively use digital technologies. By now, everybody that's on site is very comfortable using the latest and greatest technology to do their work. That's how you would read this. We will share the slide decks. We will share this slide deck with each of you so that you can review this at your leisure. This is also part of the World Economic Forum report. It's a combination of the World Economic Forum report as well as the McKinsey report on uh, digitizing mines. Okay. So you can't do everything in a day. What McKinsey and the World Economic Forum, and you'll see this in literature from Accenture, IBM, and others as well, is for each of those initiatives there is a complexity involved and an approximate timeline. You can set for yourself starting today. So if you want to set up a remote operation center, you can do that within these next 3 years. Timeline is in the short term, you can establish a remote operation center within the next 3 years. But if you're really looking for IT/OT convergence, and if you're starting today, expect it to take about 3 to 5 years to completely do the convergence. So we at GroundHog, I mean, given all of these digital themes and digital initiatives, we primarily focus on, the remote operation centers, enabling connected workers, also working on IT/OT convergence. And we do advanced analytics and simulation modeling. And we are also getting heavily into asset cybersecurity. So how do we map value drivers to go digital within mining operations, right? Um, so the life cycle of a mine typically uh, looks like this. I mean, the first few years is spent on exploring assets to uh, to mine. Once an asset has been established as having a positive NPV value and yielding significant amount of potential profits to the investors, then they go into the EPC phase. There's a lot of environmental permitting, those sorts of things. There's a lot of legal work, and then there's also long-term mine planning, design. And then if it's an underground mine, you start developing the drifts, uh, the ramps, um, the all right, I'm blanking right now, but there's a fair amount of activity that's done in the EPC phase. And then the operations, typically mines have anywhere from a 5-year to 150-year mine life. Uh, and then after the ore body is being completely extracted, then the mine goes into a reclamation phase. The size of these boxes represent the typical investments and the typical timelines it takes uh, uh, for a mine. So, given all of that, what we found as value drivers where we can help as Groundhog is, during the exploration phase, some of the use cases that we help solve are have to do with subsurface investigations and also doing, core logs during the EPC phase. There's a lot of value to be added if you can be more efficient from a project management standpoint. Uh, a lot of times the EPC is done by specialized contractors like cementation, red path mining, and so on. So there is a case for improving access to the ore body through digitization by helping build faster. From an operations standpoint, the value drivers we see is, if mines can plan better, especially doing shift level plans better, uh, then you can increase overall NPV of your project. Uh, Same thing with fleet management, maintenance, material inventory tracking, health and safety, and also, tracking training compliance. So those are the value drivers that we identified where we can contribute to, and this translates into all the products that we build as well, where in the exploration phase we have a product called Surface Mapper and Core Logger. This is to assist geologists uh, just digitize their work when they're out in the field. During the EPC phase, we have a short interval control system that can be used in the EPC phase. And in operations, we have a short interval control system that helps you do shift-wise planning, and then a fleet management system to capture production data from your fleet. We have equipment telematics so that we fetch information directly from the equipment instead of relying on operator input. We have peer-to-peer. And I'll go over all of these in the later part of the presentation. We do material management, maintenance. We also have a product to monitor tailing pond, water quality, digital EHS, and we also have a learning management system. And when we go to the reclamation phase, there's a mechanism by which, as part of the closure, you need to do environmental inspections, periodic environmental inspections, and also monitor water quality. So a little bit more about all of our products that we sell into the mining industry. And we see a lot of interest, like I said, in the Indian market, where there's a big push for improving productivity and safety. The GroundHog short interval control product, the primary use case for that, or the primary value driver, is to move more stockpiles, move more tons to stockpiles faster and safer. And the way we achieve this is by planning out your entire shift, and not just this shift, but the upcoming 6 to 7 shifts. We take the monthly plan, and then we convert that into a sequence of tasks that need to be performed in each individual shift. And then depending on the mining method, we have templates that can be applied. For in the case of a cut and fill mine, there's the drill, blast, muck, bolt cycle. There's a short cycle, there's a long cycle. All of that, you have easy templates so that the production planner can plan the upcoming shifts and also allocate equipment and personnel to each of the tasks that need to be performed in the shift, so that you maximize for equipment utilization and also maximize the utilization of all the personnel that have checked in at the mine. We also provide a mechanism so that you can actively monitor downs and delays, so that the shift boss or a remote operations center can take a data-driven decision on which next heading to go perform an activity at. I mean, that's how you figure out plan Bs and plan Cs in the face of a down or a delay. We have an open pit fleet management system that runs off of a standard iPad or an Android tablet. Unlike most of the other OEMs, where you're required to buy customized hardware, we just work off of a regular iPad or a ruggedized Android tablet, where we just install the tablet in the cab, and then we can track all production data from availability and utilization to tracking haul count, haul counts, and also analyzing haul cycles, so that we can figure out where things are being queued. If there's a queue that we need to get rid of, then reallocate equipment so that you optimize for throughput from the face to the stockpiles. The system works with or without dispatch, because at the start of a shift, I mean, systems like PitRAM and others, you actually need to have a dispatch operator that does data entry, whereas for our system, the operator just makes those updates. We also have an autonomous mode, and I'll get into that in a couple of slides. We started our life in underground mines. So one of the products we specialize in and where we have a lot of uptake is in the underground fleet management system. This underground fleet management system goes hand in hand with our short interval control system. This is to track production information from the face, from loaders down there, from long hole drills, and we extract all the information from within the underground mine and make it available to shift bosses and the remote operation center, so that they can have a clear view of production at all times. Again, this works on standard iPads and Android tablets. You don't need any OEM specific hardware to be installed for the fleet management system to work. One of the key differentiators for our technology is our peer-to-peer networking technology. Basically, one of the reasons why most underground mines, especially, are not digitized is because they have a big problem in trying to get Wi-Fi access to the face, because all the equipment works at a face, and if there is no Wi-Fi access, you can't get data off of that equipment. This is called the last mile problem in underground mines. Installing a new um, Wi-Fi access point typically costs about $3,000 to about $7,000 in terms of all-in install costs, hardware, labor, maintenance, all of that stuff. It costs about $3,000 to $7,000 per access point. So with our peer-to-peer technology, you can extend data access to the face by just having the shifter, who anyway visits all active mining zones. When a shifter goes and crosses paths with a miner, they exchange information via peer-to-peer. And whenever the shifter gets back to a Wi-Fi zone, he also pulls in data from the miner that he came across. The same technology works, to transfer data from equipment to equipment, and from the shift boss to the equipment. Whichever goes back to the Wi-Fi zone first transfers data back up to the remote operations center. Like I said, peer-to-peer is a big differentiator for us. We have a telematics module to pull data directly off of the equipment, so that you don't need operators to be entering, doing data entry. We have a maintenance module, a mobile maintenance module, where you can plan your downs and then also perform your 250 hour, 500 hour, 1000 hour, 5000 hour type uh, type maintenance. The system also integrates with SAP. We know that the majority of the mines that you folks probably work at or have visited, chances are they are running SAP. Our GroundHog maintenance module integrates with SAP. We also have a material management module. The material management module basically tracks broken ground inventory, inventory in stockpiles, and then we also track tons currently being hauled, and the ore grade for each of the ton being hauled. For underground mines, we have a real-time location tracking service, where in an underground mine we can track where all the assets are, assets being either equipment or personnel. This is used for safety and also for doing automated haulage counting and those kinds of activities. In open pit operations, we have geofences. You can configure geofences either as a restricted zone or a haulage zone. We use this information to also automatically track haulage counts and haul cycle analysis. A digital EHS product is used for performing workplace exams, reporting incidents, doing root cause analysis on incidents, and then implementing corrective actions, so that these incidents don't occur again. All of these applications, at least here in the US, they comply with the Mine Safety and Health Administration's regulatory requirements around incident reporting, incident management, hazard reporting, hazard management, and so on. And similarly, I'm pretty sure India has similar rules and regulations. Just know that we can adapt the software to comply with local rules and regulations. Finally, we have a safety training learning management system. This is an easy way for us to track, for a mine or a mining contractor to track which operator has been trained on what piece of equipment. And if they need to be retrained on a piece of equipment, the system alerts you about those kinds of certificate expiry and things like that. We also have a very simple QR code based mechanism where if you stick the QR code on a miner's helmet, anybody can come scan, any regulator can come scan that QR code to pull up all of their training records. It's very, very handy because today most mines still maintain these safety records on piece of paper, just for compliance reasons. As part of our services offerings, uh, we have decision support systems where we have analytical tools and we have visualization tools uh, so that mine managers, shift bosses, superintendents, and supervisors can make data-driven decisions. We strongly believe that right now most data is still in silos. What we do is we help move data from geology, data from fleet, uh, uh, from the fleet management systems, the material management systems, and the inventory management systems. We can combine all of that data into a data lake, perform additional analysis on that data, normalize and perform additional analysis on that data, and then create these sorts of representations that actually make sense to the people consuming these reports. We've also started a new practice around creating digital twins. This is to model equipment and model mine plans and things like that, so that you can run simulations to figure out where to optimize processes, or you can use this for modeling your predictive maintenance schedules, um, mixing and matching your crews so that you optimize for production across all shifts and across all rotations and so on. We also do a fair bit of change management because what we know is that just trying to push technology down a miner's throat is not going to work. It really success of any digital transformation project depends on how you are able to train, you are able to communicate, and also uh, also enable these miners to start using the tools that you actually provide to them, not as something that's going to limit them from what they do best, but to just help them do what they are supposed to do better and safer. We also offer build, operate, and transfer of control room operations. This is where we come in for digitizing your mine, and we will run your control centers for you until your employees are trained to the point where they can run the control centers by themselves automatically. Not automatically, but by themselves. Like I said, we have quite a few reference customers. Barrick and McKinsey, basically, this is when we deployed our first short interval control product, I think back in 2017. We, in addition to the fleet management system and the short interval control system, we were also asked to integrate with Deswick and Mobilaris for the scheduler and the location management system. This is where our expertise and our differentiation comes in, is in our ability to integrate with other third-party mining software providers. For oil and gas, we've done a fair amount of work with generating bit logs and doing analysis of bit logs. For Epiroc, we built their fleet management system called FleetSync. For AECom, this is a big construction company. This was part of their learning management effort. Cargill uses our product to do workplace exams and equipment inspections. VistaView is an oil and gas company. And this is basically to manage all of their field personnel. So with that, I will open it up for questions, comments, any feedback.